everybody, welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Zach.
And I'm Seth.
And we're the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right. We are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
That's right. I was moving some things around on my desk here.
That's fine. It's fun to move things around.
Yes, sometimes I do it enough so that it looks like that I've been working here. I don't actually do any work, but I move things around on my desk so it looks like I've done work.
As they say, producer Doug is coming. Look busy.
That's right.
That's what I always do.
Work harder, not smarter.
Yeah, something like that. Fart harder, not smarter.
Fart harder, not smarter. No, you don't want to fart harder. That can make mistakes in your pants.
Mistakes in your pants sounds like a game by Hasbro.
Could be, if we don't license it immediately right now.
Oh, I'll get on that.
Oh man, we could do that. We could call up some a Chinese factory and spin up a board game called Mistakes in Your Pants.
Yeah,
and it could be like Don't Wake Daddy, except there's just like some pants that have
to the bathroom.
Yeah,
glad this is the kind of humor people have been listening to Classic Gaming Brothers for 329 episodes or 339 episodes.
39,
29?
I think, right? Or they just started listening to it and immediately turned us off.
329 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, 329 episodes.
Do you think we scare anybody away because they look at our catalog and go, nope?
Yeah, probably. I mean, as a friendly reminder, you don't need to listen to all of us in order. There is no long... Well, there's a couple of, like, reoccurring gags, but I wouldn't say that we don't have any, like, storyline.
No, there's no storyline. And to be honest, there's not a lot of inside jokes. There's lore.
Yeah, but what podcast doesn't have lore?
That's right. Yeah, or crazed producers.
True.
Producer Doug actually asked... he was actually looking to do some producing work recently.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, we can get producer Doug to actually do his job.
He was looking to book some guests, which is, from what I know, what a producer does.
I like when producer Doug messaged us in the middle of a workday telling us to watch a guy on stream, and we didn't respond, and they said, never mind, it's over.
Producer Doug also, in real life, lives very far away from us. So
yes, he lives in a different time zone. So
he does. He gets confused sometimes.
That's fair.
That's in real life. In the show life, he lives in our studio.
Yeah, but also, weirdly enough, in a different time zone.
Or maybe he's just lagged.
He's got high ping.
He's got a high ping. All right. Well, anyways, Zach, what have you recently been playing?
Seth, recently I've been playing Quake 4. Picked up Quake 3 and Quake 4 because they were on sale for like a couple of bucks. So I realized I didn't own Quake 4, nor have I played it. So I picked it up. It was released back in 2005, originally from Raven Software, published by Activision. Quake 4 is really interesting. It kind of feels like the most generic shooter, but also it's kind of fun. I was talking to one of my friends earlier this past weekend, and we were talking about the classic Quake games, and I mentioned I was playing Quake 4, and he said Quake 4 really does feel like a product of its time. Like 2005 first-person shooter. In the first mission, you're going through a war zone, and you come across a guy, and he's like, you gotta get inside and get to the objective. It's just very generic kind of shooter, but it's also Quake, so it's got a lot of weird enemies and weapons. It feels like they definitely wanted to have a game kind of akin to Halo, so at least in that regards, I don't think it's anything to write home about, but I did find some of the game to be fun. I found the combat to be pretty good. I wasn't a big fan of the early missions have a lot of backtracking, you going to one section of the map and then being told you have to go back to the beginning of the map because you needed to get an objective sort of thing. I really don't like that kind of backtracking, but overall, I've liked the game. It just hasn't become great for me yet. It's good, it's just not amazing, and I have enjoyed what I've played though. That's Quake 4 from Raven Software, released in 2005. I'm playing the version that they have on Steam. It's not like an updated version. It's not like it doesn't have updated graphics, it doesn't have updated resolutions, in fact. So
there's apparently a config that you can, a config file that you can adjust to actually get it to work right.
Yeah, you can do some fixes, but it's out of the box is what I mean, is it plays as it did back in 2005. There's no like fancy whistles on this one, which like original Quake and Quake 2 have since been updated with like modern engines and stuff. But yeah, Quake 4, pretty good, not perfect. I'll probably play more of it at some point, but that's what I've been recently playing. Seth, what about you?
Recently, I've been playing a game that you bought me and that is Mafia: The Old Country, which was developed by Hangar 13 and published by 2K. You play as an Italian guy who starts off working in a mine, and they're really mean to the miners, which this game takes place around the late 1800s. So I imagine that it's true to life, as they were probably mean to the miners. And you're mining a mine for some ore, and you work for some guy who's not a nice person. Eventually the mine collapses and you lose your childhood friend, and you get into a fight with the guy who is like the mine manager, and you escape, and then the mine manager chases you, and you end up in some other land hiding out, and that other land is run by another Italian guy. This all takes place in Sicily, so most of the people here are going to be Italian or at least Sicilian. And this other land is run by another guy who's also very mean, but he's nice to you, and he's mean to your old boss, and essentially is the rise of organized crime, and that's what you play through. And the two competing people are the two dons in the area, and it really tracks the heyday of organized crime, the 1800s, when it first really started getting going in Sicily, and really how it unfolded and developed. I'm a few hours into the game. It's been fun. The story has been pretty good. It has the same issues that I've been experiencing with Indiana Jones, and that it has an over-reliance on VRAM, which is like streaming graphics, where if you run into issues with VRAM and streaming graphics, it can cause graphical issues because the thing doesn't stream in, or it's instead of preloading textures and graphics, what some newer games do is just stream them in, right, and then use various FSR technology to be able to like fake it too, so that they can make these textures larger and more picturesque, but at a cost, and that cost is generally your VRAM. And sometimes the texture doesn't come in because you're having VRAM issues. So sometimes in a cutscene, because it's being rendered in real time, you sometimes have hair, and then sometimes you don't have hair, which makes the game just feel janky. So it's something that I've been encountering a lot. I do not have a substandard card. It is a few years old now, and it's probably mid-tier now, but it's not like a card that is cheap or minimal by any sense of the imagination. But I think it is a card that has been it has 8 gigs of VRAM, which apparently for all these new modern games is something that I need to dial up in a market where graphic cards and RAMs are becoming more and more expensive. So it's great. Though I did buy this computer that I'm on right around COVID, so it's maybe a little after, but it was during the first graphics card shortage where it was so bad that you had to buy a whole computer in order to even get a graphics card. So that was early days of graphics cards, and now it's RAM shortages, and now it's frustrating. It's frustrating being a PC gamer, and it's frustrating running into issues of people, just games that maybe it could have been optimized better, but sometimes these games have been coming out and they just feel lazy. They're not just optimized, they're just completely just maxing out specs for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Mafia: The Old Country. That's what I've recently been playing. It's been great. It's been fun so far, and I'm thankful for my brother buying it for me and then forgetting that he bought it for me.
You're welcome. That's what I do best. Well, what better way to talk about games that hog VRAM than talk about some upcoming games that we might see at PAX that might also hog some VRAM, or not.
Yeah.
That's right. It's our Pre-PAX Pod, where Seth and I are going to be at PAX East.
Yeah, and we've done a Pre-PAX Pod for almost every PAX that we've attended. I don't know if we actually did a pre or post-PAX Pod for the first PAX that we attended. We might have, but we generally we release this episode where we talk about things that we're excited to see, and then we go to PAX and we interview people, and then we do a post-PAX Pod with those interviews, and we talk about the things that we did see. It's a fun annual tradition of 2 episodes throughout the year that we will record, and we do this for no media badges, which we would have had to do them if we got media badges, but every year we ask for a media badge, and every year PAX says no.
Yeah,
so
right.
We asked them this year. They didn't even respond this year. So maybe next year we'll just keep inflating our numbers, and eventually they'll think that we're very important and we need to get media badges.
Yeah.
But anyway, so here's one for you, PAX. A good old couple of episodes to drive up hype, but more importantly, let's talk about the people who go to PAX, because the independent gamers and independent game studios, the independent gamers. It just sounds like
some dude.
Just some guy by himself gaming. The independent game studios and the smaller game devs, we like to be able to heighten their reach and through these episodes.
PAX is a multi-day event. Seth and I will be there Saturday and Sunday. And it's not just the booths. There's also celebrity guests. No one that I'm really interested in meeting this year. There's also panels. Nothing that I'm really interested in seeing this year. And there's, of course, the booths. And the booths, I think, are the primary draw, at least for me, to PAX. It's different than other conventions. For example, just this past weekend, I went to the Northeast Comic and Collectibles Show, which is also mostly booths, but that's mostly vendors, people selling things. At PAX, it's mostly people not necessarily selling anything. Some
demoing,
will sell
really.
stuff, but it's, demoing and showing off. I mean, what they're selling you is something that might not be out yet. It's an idea or a demo or a like merch for a game that they're developing. And that's where Seth and I spend a majority of our time. In years past, we've gone to some panels. I think we went to the tail end of the Cyberpunk panel.
I did a Masters of Orion panel and was able to meet Alan Tudyk, and also was there when Mass Effect Andromeda was announced, and I was excited.
And then you were never excited again.
That's correct. Yeah.
I know Rio, who's one of the Ryans that hangs out with us, the Galaga Ryan. He likes Magic the Gathering. I think he did the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering panel last.
Yes, and Magic will be there again, so they might be doing something.
So it's always kind of a fun group that we go with, because we go with Ryan, and one Ryan's very into Magic the Gathering. The other Ryan is into beer.
Drink.
And we have a good time all weekend with them, and it's always something to look forward to, spending those days with them.
It's a lot of fun. Well, inevitably we will get lost from each other. It's great because there's times where we do walk around the show together as a group, but then there is also times where we all just split off and just randomly leave each other all, and then we try to find each other again. And sometimes a lot of PAX, Zach ends up inevitably meeting a friend of his because he lives in the area, and then it just is it's a fun time where we end up chasing each other, and Zach will inevitably complain about his back because of walking on concrete all day. So remember to pack your Dr. Scholl's just in case.
Seth, is there any panels that you're excited for?
No, I don't particularly like PAX panels. I've gone to a couple of them, as I said, but they've done less of the announcing of games panels and more of the, like, there's a convention like Anime Boston that used to be around, and they used to do a bunch of panels, and the PAX panels feel like they're evolving into that, where they're more like variety shows and stuff like that. And I'm not there to watch some comedian.
Not there to be entertained.
I'm not there, especially by a comedian who can only get a gig at PAX. Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm not paying money to go see somebody who's not, if I wanted to go see a comedian, I'd go pay to see a comedian. I'm not there to go watch a comedian. But anyway, I'm also a grouchy Gus when I go to PAX. Then there was a panel that I wanted to go to last year.
Yes.
And that was for Hangar 13, because I wanted to ask them if they were going to screw Mafia Old Country up as bad as they did with Mafia 3, and how could they continue to reduce this garbage games from a beloved franchise. But it was on a day that we didn't go, on Friday or Thursday. So I think we went Saturday. We usually go Friday, Saturday, but it was on, I think, a Thursday when that panel was. So I did get to have my angry announcement to the Hangar 13 developers. But when I was looking through the panels of things that I would possibly want to avoid, I saw the Malden Gaming District, and that is something that is very close to Zach's heart because it's in the area where he lives.
Yes, it is. I live near Malden, and I go through Malden daily. And I see the big sign for the Malden Gaming District.
Oh, they have a big sign?
They have a huge sign.
Have you gone to it?
So Malden Gaming District is a loose term for our downtown. It is called the Malden Gaming District because Bodeborg is there. Bodeborg is kind of like a multi-tier escape room. It's like different sub things. Like you have different time to do different objectives in different rooms. Sort of thing. There's also Zenith Comics, which is my LCS. That used to be New England Comics. There's a karaoke studio. There's Mixer, which is an esports cafe. I don't know if they're still open. I think they might be. There is a couple of restaurants that have done Street Fighter tournaments that they've just streamed, and like that's it. Like, I don't know why it's called the gaming district beyond those things. It's cool, I guess. You know, they really try to, they do like different events. There was like a Pokemon Go event where they had a bunch of lures dropped at the Malden City Hall. So there was like all these people just hanging out at Malden City Hall playing Pokemon Go. You know, it's a thing that I think draws people into the community. Malden has a bit of a kind of, I think, a nerdy community of people. A lot of younger people live in the area. I know my LCS is always pretty busy. So yeah, it's, you know, it's cool to see.
Have you been to Mixer Esports?
I've walked past it. I haven't been.
It's a esports and cafe. It's an internet cafe.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a internet cafe, but they do esports and
They're open from 2 to midnight.
Yes.
I didn't know that people actually hung out in internet cafes still.
It's we have a couple internet cafes in our area. There's Mixer, and then there's one actually close to where I used to live in Brighton.
My only interaction with an internet cafe is once I had access to a Steam internet cafe account, which was really good because it had at the time it had every game on Steam.
I will say the internet cafes, they put a little bit more into the cafe part of the internet cafe. They serve a lot of food and drinks. Some do alcoholic beverages, but yeah, Malden's it's the gaming district. We call it. That's what they call it. So I guess it'd be interesting to see who they have at that panel. I assume it's might be people from town. Maybe our city councilors. But
I hope so. That'd be even the best. And it's just like a boring PowerPoint slide.
Yeah.
But it talks about how they brought gaming to their area and how we can too. My town's kind of rural, so I'm not bringing much of anything to this town.
Well, that being said, that's the one panel maybe we'll try to get to.
Yeah, maybe. Did you shake your head no?
Yeah.
That's the one panel that I thought Zach would be interested in and that we're not going to go to, just to be clear to everybody.
Maybe we will. But we could. We'll get into the
especially. I think it's the end of the day on Sunday. We're gonna be gone.
Yeah, we're gonna be exhausted. But getting into some of the booths that we're excited to see. Seth, do you want to take it away with your first booth?
I'm excited. Ocean Drive Studios will be back, and they have the game that we saw last year that we were really excited about. But it's gonna be 1 year more of development, and that is God Save Birmingham, which is a medieval zombie simulator. Which Zach and I, in the last few months, we've fallen out of fashion, but we were pretty into Vane, which is a zombie simulation game.
Yeah, zombie survival.
Yeah, a zombie life simulation / survival game. And God Save Birmingham looks like that, except in the medieval age.
It does, yeah.
Super exciting. And I kind of want to play Vane in the medieval ages. And if you get multiplayer, God Save Birmingham, it'd be like a combination of medieval dynasties and Vane. That sounds like a great game. So yeah, I'm excited to check out Ocean Drive Studios, see how far off they are with God Save Birmingham, and see if they have any additional play. I think we played a little bit of the game when we were there, but it was, let's just say, it was still cooking.
It was pretty rough. Like, obviously still in development thing, but cool for what we saw. Great. I liked the idea of God Save Birmingham. I think there's a reference to it in our post-PAX Pod episode from last year when we did see it. I don't think we talked to anyone from there, but I think we mentioned it as like a game we saw.
Maybe we'll be able to find somebody to talk about it this time.
A booth I'm excited about is always games from Poland. So they're there pretty much every year. But for those who haven't listened to our Pre-PAX Pod or our Post-PAX Pod where we've talked about games from Poland, Games from Poland is a section that is basically dedicated to Poland's gaming thing that they do. Basically, they have some government programs that help local indie studios in Poland kind of get off the ground, provide some support for them. I think there's tax incentives for them. But every year they are represented here. So it's always cool to see what Poland has to offer. One of the games this year is actually a Star Trek game, and it's a VR survival horror Star Trek game called Star Trek Infection, which sounds very interesting. And I think that will be cool to see. A lot of the games from Poland, they never seem to be like big IPs. It's like always indie stuff. So it's kind of cool to see one of these studios taking on a big IP like Star Trek. There was another one I saw called Farmbotic, which is an automated farming game with robots. I think it was compared to Factorio, but with farms. There was also a Souls-like game called Valor Mortis, which is coming from the same developers who developed Ghost Runner. In Valor Mortis, you play as a dead soldier from Napoleon's army. And there's another game I saw called Truckful, where you are a pickup truck and you are driving through the countryside, and that countryside has a mystery.
Ooh.
And those are just a couple of the games that they have listed on their PAX page for the Games from Poland booth. But yeah, I'm always excited to see what Poland has to offer.
Yeah, and they're always really nice folks that work the booth. I mean, there's
100%.
a lot of nice folks that work most of the booths at PAX because they're working booths, so they're kind of incentivized to have good customer service. But the people at Polish booth are always super nice. That's also where we lost one of the Ryans with that vampire game.
Yeah, which I think I own. I think they gave me a key for it.
Yeah, you take all the free keys. You get the Super Marxist twins and all that stuff. And yeah, they don't give me anything. I get diddly. I did get a bag that one time, though.
Oh, yeah.
This last year, I got my still loading bag.
Also Wonderling.
Oh, no, but you got that.
Oh, right.
Last
but we
year,
got t-shirts.
just me got.
Oh, yes. Just you got the still loading. Yes.
Or Still Waiting. Still Loading is a podcast.
Yes, our good friend Josh.
So PAX Rising is going to be back, of course. It's brought to you by Zenny. PAX Rising booth is my favorite booth at the show, where they bring in some really tiny projects and exhibit them all in one big booth. The projects have also been curated by the PAX team so that they really believe that these projects are like the darlings of the events. And what's really nice is that you could go to the website east.paxsite.com and you can actually check out the PAX Rising Showcase section, and you can go all the way back to 2010 and see all the games that have ever been exhibited since 2010 to the 2026 and what they have available. And so they have 12 games as part of the PAX Rising Showcase this year, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be excited to check out Shantytown, where you build a diorama of a creature like out of a house, and it looks like from the splash page that you play like some sort of like Baba Yaga type creature that is like a full of like, but instead of just like a cabin, it's like a full multi-story like sim house. And Project Lexa, where you crash land on a mysterious planet and you have to figure out how to get home. I'll end up letting you guys know if when I go to the PAX Rising Showcase, if those two games are my favorite from the showcase, and I'm sure we'll grab some interviews with the developers at that booth. We usually interview most of the people at the PAX Rising Showcase.
Another booth I saw that was listed is Top Hat Studios. They are a publisher of indie titles from around the world. They're bringing a game this year called Well Dweller, which is a Metroidvania style game. I just really liked the aesthetic. It had kind of this like almost painted sprite work style aesthetic, a little neon in some places. Just looks cool. I like retro style games. I like Metroidvanias, so be interested to try this game out. Maybe for either try out the demo or just watch some gameplay, see how it goes.
Then also Double Fine Productions will be at the show, which is an award-winning game development studio founded in 2000 by Tim Schafer. They are committed to making some high-quality games. I'm not exactly sure what they're bringing to the show, since it was really only a company recap for what their booth information was, but I really like their aesthetic and I'm excited to see what they're bringing to the show. They've been to the show before. I think they go most years, but they had like one game where you were like a head, like in an astronaut. You had to like land on people's bodies and stuff like that. They have a really good art style and they're always just fun, just games. They're just good fun games.
Another booth I saw that I was interested in was Vania Games. They're a studio of about 5 people located north of Boston, so they're local. They're working on a game called Crystal Mancers, which is slated to be a roguelike block smashing puzzle game. I looked it up and it kind of looks like Tetris meets a roguelike. There's some puzzle elements, there's some roguelike elements, there's some RPG elements. It says that they're inspired by JRPGs of the 90s. I think the idea sounds really interesting, just from the brief glimpses of gameplay and from the images I've seen on at least the Steam listing. It looks cool, so I'd be really curious to see how it actually plays. And that's from Vania Games, Crystal Mancers.
There's booth 47 Squared. I went and checked their website out, and the games that they have presented look interesting, but also vague enough to be something that I don't necessarily know what they're actually selling. But their premise is that they're blending the heart of classic RPGs with the possibilities of modern gaming. So I'm interested as somebody who likes classic RPGs to see what that game looks like being developed out of this studio. But there's supposed to be immersive design and player-driven choices while pushing the boundaries of what's possible with their advanced physics and technology, which I think one of the things that I'm going to say it here, I don't have anything against 47 Squared, but also I think that the thing that Zach and I have to be on the lookout is how much games are going to be influenced by AI, and like whether or not the bios of games or the bios of their companies was even copywritten by AI, or like what the games we saw last year, a game where it generated completely things of AI, and I think Rio
crashed
broke
it.
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he crashed their whole system, not just the game, like their computer shut off.
Yeah, he did a great job. We were proud of him. So we're interested that we're not Luddites, but we want to make sure that we're just enjoying quality, not slop.
Yeah. Art should be done by artists. Now, speaking of artists, IDW Publishing is going to be at PAX East. So IDW Publishing is a comic book publishing house that is the current publisher of the Sonic the Hedgehog comics, as well as other comics. They've done a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics in the last few years, such as Last Ronin. They published Lock and Key. They did a Transformers line for a bit. I don't know if they still have the Transformers IP. In any case, I'm interested to see what they have to offer at PAX. I mean, PAX is a gaming convention, so IDW Publishing, I believe, has been looking into getting into gaming. I know they have something called IDW Gaming on their website, but nothing's currently listed on the website. So they might be trying to get into tabletop, and I would really like to see what they have available. It'd be also really cool if they just have some comics for sale. I mean, I'll pick up some comics. I love comic books, especially from IDW. We also have a little bit of degree of separation from IDW, as Ian Flynn, guest of the show, brother to Seth and I, was on our show, and he is the current head writer, at least for the Sonic IDW comics. So I don't think he's going to be there, but if we see him, we can say hi.
IDW did lose the publishing rights to Transformers in 2022 as it transitioned to Skybound.
Oh, okay. Well, they still have Turtles. They also have Godzilla, and they do have a Godzilla Turtles crossover that is in the works.
They love doing weird stuff with their licenses.
Sonic Godzilla crossover coming out soon.
There's going to be 9th Bit Games, which is developing a game called Terra Nova Legend of the Runes. It's a modern love letter to classic JRPGs, blending 80s and 90s era charm with fresh customizable adventures, where you'll be able to switch between 8-bit and 16-bit visuals and have a party and do all that stuff. Nostalgia meeting new school creativity. Excited. I like to think that I like JRPGs, and I like to see them and see how they're done. And usually, if they're like, I'm like a big fan of like Octopath I like to think that I'm a big fan of like Octopath Traveler. I've actually haven't played the game all the way through, but like ultimately I do have fond memories of playing some JRPGs when I was younger, and so I'm always thinking about finding like that 90s type of JRPG nostalgia hit, and Terra Nova Legend of the Runes, developed by 9th Bit Games, looks like that type of game, so I'm interested to seeing it.
Great. For me, one of the next booths I would like to see is Atari Interactive. They're always cool to see what they have. I know last year they brought some Atari 2600 pluses and 7800 plus units that were available to be played around with, and I know that they had some 2600 games for sale, as in games for the Atari 2600 that were brand new that you could pick up. They also usually have some arcade booths set up with some of their new games. Last year they had Missile Command, which was really cool. That was kind of a simulator that they had set up, and Seth and I played a bit of that. We found it very interesting.
Yeah, I've almost bought it.
That's the PAX motto, is I almost bought it. Yeah, it'd be cool to see what they bring this year, if there's anything like Missile Command or similar to Missile Command that they have on the line. I don't know. I always like seeing Atari.
I know we have a bunch of booths prepped to go through, but I'm also wondering, is there anything that you're looking to find and pick up? If there's any actual merch or things like that?
Not off the top of my head. I haven't bought a lot of video games recently in general. If I could find some, stuff that is Like for PS5, I love building my PS5 games up. Having some physical media for that is good. I think I picked up Stray for PS5 last time at PAX, and I picked up Wizardry, the remake.
Oh, yeah.
From PAX. I still haven't played it, but I own it. And so it's always cool to pick up stuff for the PS5. Maybe look for some shirts to wear. I like clothes. There's usually a couple tea booths, and I know my partner really likes tea, so I might pick them
tea,
up.
Like
tea.
drinking tea, not wearing teas.
Yeah, drinking tea, not wearing tea. I know our father likes having lanyards, so I'll always look for lanyards for him. See if there's any fun pins or anything that could go on said lanyards. So that's stuff that I have in mind.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout. I have to ask my boss what his child's favorite property is before I go, because there's usually some sort of plush or toys. I did buy a bunch of Kirby socks that I think were gigantic for his kid.
That's funny, though.
He gets very excited about things when I send him pictures, and then when I buy things, he gets very disappointed when it doesn't exactly work out. But so we'll see if he's whatever the obsession is there lately. And then I am also interested in checking out some of the board games / tabletop RPG stores that will be there, as well as checking out if maybe even some hardware. I was if I can find a good graphics card for a good price, maybe I'll pick it up there.
Yeah.
But usually they have it so that you buy it online. But if there's any sort of savings on these, then like maybe I'll grab one. And
that'd be something. I wouldn't mind looking to see. Sometimes they have like podcasting equipment.
Yep.
And I wouldn't mind getting like a better boom setup.
But yeah, so interested in seeing those things. I'm sure there'll be Video Game in New York where we'll see stuff that's overpriced, and they'll be there. I know that for a fact. And I know for a fact their stuff will be over market value.
Always by a substantial amount.
I have rage bought more things at Video Game New York than like that's the thing that I do. I go there and then I rage buy things because I'll be like, this thing's $100, and like they're selling it for $300. I'm buying. That's why I have a Game and Watch Legend of Zelda Game and Watch. Because I found it for $200 cheaper than what Video Game New York was selling it for. Anyway, Astral Clock Tower Studios will be there. They're developing a game called Crystalla, which we've talked about many years ago. Maybe not many years ago. At least maybe a year ago. 2 years ago. When was the last time Barry was on? But it's a Cat Souls type of game, or Cat Assassin's Creed. And it's a dark fantasy action RPG where you play as a feline warrior on a quest to master 6 ancient magics. And it was a premium edition game, and one of the last premium edition games that we talked about with Barry when he came on. And so I'm interested, as we covered it, I'm interested to see where it's at, because it's been a while since we last talked about it, and I'm interested to see where they're coming along with the game. I think when we were looking at it, they were in either Kickstarter or early access launch, and the game was rough. So I'm interested to see a non-rough version.
Yeah. Now, one booth I'm really excited to see at PAX is Game Tank. So I'm really curious about this one. I've heard about Game Tank for some time now. I think it's only been in production for about 1 or 2 years. But Game Tank is an independently produced open source 8-bit console. The design of the system is to be built as a kit of sorts, in that you basically download all the specs and stuff that you need, and you go source the parts yourself and build yourself a game console. And they encourage people to build their own games as well as build a game console. Now, I'm not super handy when it comes to this sort of stuff, but I like seeing what it does. And I know that they at least have a Game Tank model that is playable, and I hope they bring it to PAX, because I would like to give it a try and see how it plays. It'd be kind of cool. It just seems like something that's really neat, and I would love to get my hands on the actual system and just kind of get an idea of how it works.
What if you could buy one?
Oh, that'd be cool. I don't know. I don't know if it's mass produced yet, because I think the version that is the one that they usually show off is the only version that they have.
Good Story Guild will be there, showing their game Cat Secretary, where you play as a cat and you are homeless, and then you become a cat that joins a multinational conglomeration, and you have to kind of uncover the dark side of corporate life. And the Getty game where you play as a cat and can climb up corporate ladders and knock plants off tables. It could be fun. So interested to see how Cat Secretary plays and if it's anything like Hello Kitty Big City or Big Kitty Little City, or what is it? Hello Big Kitty
Big Kitty Little City? Yeah.
Big Kitty Little City.
Oh, Little Kitty Big City.
Oh, Little Kitty Big City. That'd be funny if it was Big Kitty Little City. Sounds like a kaiju game. But yes, Little Kitty Big City. I wonder if it's like that.
Well, I have also a cute looking game that I'm interested in seeing, and that's a game by Collywobble Games called Do a Crime. Collywobble is an independent studio, and Do a Crime is what they describe as a casually chaotic, cozy platformer where you play as a raccoon. I like cutesy games, and raccoons I think are great because they are trash pandas. I'm curious to see how this game is. It looks like the demo is actually available online to play, so I might have a chance to play it before PAX even. But yeah, it just looks cute, and I like cute games.
A company called Color Grave will be in a booth. It's a small independent game development company, and they're originally were established as a book writing venture by Joseph Hughes, and then in 2020 they became a game developer, and they've released a number of games such as Prodigal, Curse Crackers, Veritas, April Grove, and Claire a la Mode, and they're now working on Curse Chapter Dawn Thief. And I looked at the game and I really enjoyed what I saw. It's a very artistic platformer game. It's got very I guess it's giving me whimsical Metrovania, maybe. It's kind of like what I'm getting for, or very whimsical Shovel Knight or one of those type of games, which I usually have a lot of fun playing those type of games. So interested to see how that game's coming along and what is available. There may be also games that are pre-released that you're able to buy. We've done that before. Zach and I have purchased some games. We bought a game that was on a USB stick that was in the shape of a NES cartridge. So those games may be available, or you could pre-buy some games. So we'll see those as well. And maybe Dawn Thief will be one of them.
Yeah, maybe. Another booth I'm looking to check out is Critical Reflex. They're always a fun time because they just have a ton of really weird games that I just like looking at. Games like Buckshot Roulette, Militsonier, No I'm Not a Human, Mouthwashing, etc. All their games are just a little creepy, but also really well done. Militsonier is that game that Seth and I played where you have to walk around a town and there's a giant policeman watching you all the time.
That's right.
And sometimes he picks you up. No I'm Not Human is a horror game that I saw at PAX last year where you are basically holding down a safe house and people come to your door and you have to prove whether or not they are human, and if they are not human, you have to get rid of them. So I'm curious to see if they have any new demos for any games coming out, and also I'd really like to see if they have digital codes for sale. As Seth mentioned, there's sometimes a way to buy a game that's already been released or a game in development. So I'd love to pick up maybe a game like Buckshot Roulette or No I'm Not a Human if they have it as a digital code.
One of the studios that I was interested is Falseworks Studio, which is developing a game called Spider Lily, which is an atmospheric adventure game inspired by the symbolic meaning of the spider lily flower in Chinese culture. It explores farewell and rebirth, and you take on the role of the lost soul, a Chinese woman who has entered the afterlife with no recollection of their past. The core mechanic of the game revolves around kind of like an escort dynamic where you must protect and guide a fish seeking to restore its lost sight. And they're looking to really create kind of a deeply atmospheric experience. And so I like adventure games, and I like kind of like vignette stories of games. So it looks like a Spider Lily looks like an interesting game that might be up my alley.
Nice. One game that I thought looked fun and kind of cute is Loco Mo, a quote-unquote cozy creative world-building game where you have to connect different villages. It kind of looks like a cutesy version of Transport Tycoon. The game is pitched as being a train set mixed with a sandbox that you always wish you had as a kid. That sounds appealing. I like sandbox games. I like transport simulators. So I'll definitely try out Loco Mo.
And then there'll be Monarch Games, which is a sole developer studio showcasing coin Coin and Cauldron, which is an upcoming action-adventure RPG built entirely by one single person, and it's featuring a handcrafted environment, engaging combat, and a world filled with quests and memorable characters. The developer will be at PAX and will be schlepping his game, Coin and Cauldron, and it looks like a fun game, and I'm interested in checking out an upcoming action RPG because I like action-adventure and RPGs.
For me, I do have two last booths that I'll mention. One booth that I'm interested in seeing always is Dread XP. They're publishers of games like My Friendly Neighborhood, Mortuary Assistant, etc. Dread XP always just has a ton of cool horror games to show off. They have an upcoming game that's part of the Paranormal Activity franchise. I think this was a game they had demoed last year, so I'm curious to see if there's any differences between the build that they had last year, but that's Paranormal Activity Threshold, and I'll be just curious to see anything else they have that they're showing off. But the last booth that I put down for booths I'm excited to see is Pizza Pranks / Indiepocalypse. So I randomly bumped into this booth. Like, I think I'd walked past it 3 or 4 times before I realized what it was.
They were
and then
like
I
tucked
walked
away.
into it. And it is Indiepocalypse / Pizza Pranks is a curated monthly collection of games. And last year I picked up 2 titles from them, a 12-in-1 Bitsy collection and Titanic 2 Orchestra for Dying at Sea, and they had a cool way of selling them where the games come on USB sticks but they're packaged in cassette tape boxes with their own art design and such. I really like the DIY feel. All of their games feel like they're just micro budget, underground games. In fact, they don't call themselves a publisher, they call themselves a zine because they truly are like, people just making games with whatever resource they have, and you buy it for like $10 sort of deal. So I like it. It's very much akin to finding someone's home recorded music at like a vinyl swap sort of deal. But that's Pizza Pranks / Indiepocalypse. They'll be at PAX again this year, so I'm looking forward to definitely picking up a couple of their quote unquote tapes, as well as seeing what else they have to offer.
Nice.
I think so too.
Yeah, it should be a fun show. Looking forward to getting some interviews in and chatting with the developers. Maybe Zach, you can interview the Indiepocalypse guy and get some information about his zine.
I think I did last year, but I forget if I did or not. So yeah, if I did last year in the post-PAX P-Pops,
our triple P
2,
our acceptable P, Subtotal P?
The P. If I didn't last year, I'll get an interview, and even if I did last year, I'll follow up with him. But yeah, be exciting. I'm always looking forward to doing PAX. I'm always looking forward to talking to some new people and seeing some old friends. As they say, make new friends, but keep the old. Some are silver, the others are gold.
I don't think anybody says that.
Is that a song?
Yeah, it is.
So someone says it. Whoever sang that song. Make new friends, but keep the old. Some are silver and the others are gold. Which means that some of your friends will have their value increase over the years as the market changes.
Girl Scout song. May have been from Barney. But it's also a poem that actually goes, make new friends, but keep the old. Those are silver, these are gold. New made friendships like new wine. Age will mellow and refine. Friendships that have stood the test of time and change are surely best. Brow may wrinkle, hair grow gray. Friendship never knows decay. For mid-old friends, tried and true, once more we are, youth renew. But old friends, alas, may die. New friends must their place supply. Cherish friendships in your breast. New is gold, but old is best. Make new friends, but keep the old. Those are silver. These are gold. By the poet Joseph Perry.
Yeah, so we'll make new friends, we'll keep some old. That's what we'll do at PAX East 2026, coming up next week. So we look forward to going, and as always, if you're going to be there, say hi. If you see 2 brothers walking around who look like us, say hi. As a spoiler alert, we look kind of, if not exactly, like how we do on our like merchandise and shirts and stuff. The only difference is we both wear glasses.
Yes, Zach didn't wear glasses when we designed the original logo.
No, but I'm old now,
and then
time has
he
changed.
aged.
Yeah. And I do know time has passed because I wear glasses now.
Yeah. We should take a Sharpie and just doodle your glasses on.
Seth, do you have anything else to add to PAX? If not, we'll get into our Retro Rewind.
Nope.
Getting into our Retro Rewind, Seth had me play Zeliard for MS-DOS. Developed by Game Arts and published by Sierra in North America, Zeliard is an RPG released originally in Japan. It's an action RPG with the combat primarily side-scrolling. And in fact, it reminded me a lot of Zelda 2, specifically in the town segments, as the town segments are also kind of side-scrolling. And you do that thing where you walk up to a building and you like press up and you go into the building and then you talk to someone, which is what you do in Z2. So it gave me some Zelda 2 vibes. I really liked the action segments, though. I thought it was pretty fast-paced. I did get swarmed by a bunch of frogs, but other than that, I think it holds up. It's a pretty fun little RPG, and yeah, I think it just holds up. It's a fun little game, worth checking out if you like action RPGs. Next week, Seth, I want you to play what I believe is an action RPG. It might not be, but that's Blades of Vengeance for Sega Genesis.
All right, awesome. Zach had me play Home Alone 2 Lost in New York for the SNES, developed by Imagineering and published by THQ and released in 1993. It was also released for the Genesis and MS-DOS in that year, and it also came out on NES and Game Boy in 1992. In the game, you play as Kevin McAllister, and you have to go through various film locations, such as the Plaza Hotel, Central Park, and the streets of New York. It's a side-scrolling game, and you have to move around and avoid or fight enemies. And right off the rip, you have Tim Curry's character, the hotel employee, right behind you and if you run into him, he chokes you out. In fact, every adult that you run into manhandles you in some way, which is just something of that time. It's what happened when kids got lost in the 90s. If they ran into an adult, they would be violently shook. It's an okay game. It's not very good and reminds me a lot of the Simpsons game Bart versus the Space Mutants with the exploration and avoiding tons of enemies. So it could be nostalgic for some. It's also mid-tier at best. I don't really think it holds up today. And Zach, next week you could play Lands of Lore, The Throne of Chaos for MS-DOS.
I will. Well, thank you everyone for listening to our Pre-PAX Pod. If you are going to PAX East, let us know. You can do so by emailing us at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. We're available wherever podcasts can be found, be it Podbean, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. We're available on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We're available on Twitch. Be sure to follow us. We're available on Patreon. Be sure to check us out. And of course, we're available on our website, www.classicgamingbrothers.com. Oh, with that, Seth, am I forgetting anything?
Don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
Right.